In 1986, Sherry Rasmussen was living what many would call the dream life. A dedicated nurse, recently married, and full of hope for the future. But in her Los Angeles condo, that dream came to a sudden and tragic end. Sherry was discovered lifeless, her home in disarray. The initial theory, a break-in gone wrong. The LAPD believed she had surprised intruders, but the details didn't sit right with her family. There were signs of struggle, yes, but many valuables were left untouched. To Sherry's loved ones, the real story seemed far more personal, and one name kept coming up: Stephanie Lazarus, a police officer and John's ex-girlfriend. Still, the case went cold. For over 2 decades, no answers came, until 2009, when a cold case unit took a fresh look. They re-examined a critical detail, an old bite mark left on Sherry. DNA was recovered, and it belonged to a woman. Quietly, investigators put Lazarus under surveillance. They followed her, waited, and eventually collected a discarded coffee cup. The result? A direct match. Stephanie Lazarus, now a veteran detective, was arrested in 2009. In 2012, she was found guilty and sentenced to 27 years to life. The case stunned the public, not just for the betrayal behind it, but for how close the suspect had always been to the investigation itself. Sometimes, the truth hides in plain sight, and justice just takes time to catch up. On a freezing December night in 1984, 18-year-old Tracy Hammerberg was walking home from a party in Wisconsin. She never made it. Her body was discovered in a driveway the next morning. The crime shook the small town, but despite countless leads and over 400 men tested, there was no match, no name, no justice. Then, in 2019, modern science finally cracked the silence. Investigators used DNA from the original crime scene and found a match through forensic genealogy. The name was Philip Cross. He had a long, violent history, but he had died in 2012, never having faced the consequences. When contacted, Cross's children cooperated with investigators. Their DNA helped confirm what the evidence had long held in silence. Though the suspect wouldn't face a courtroom, Tracy's family finally had an answer. After 35 years, the coldest of trails was brought to light, thanks to a family's courage and the persistence of truth. In 1974, 17-year-old Carla Walker was abducted after a Valentine's Day dance in Fort Worth, Texas. She had been in a car with her boyfriend when a man suddenly attacked and dragged Carla away. 3 days later, her lifeless body was discovered in a drainage ditch near Benbrook Lake. She had been brutally assaulted and strangled. For 50 years, the case remained cold, but Carla's family never stopped fighting for answers. In 2020, modern DNA analysis finally gave him a name: Glenn Samuel McCurley. Investigators posed as genealogy researchers and recovered his DNA from a discarded item. The match was undeniable. When confronted, McCurley broke down and confessed.
How did you kill her? I just choked her.
To avoid the death penalty, he pleaded guilty. McCurley was imprisoned in the Gibb Lewis unit and would have been eligible for parole on March 21st, 2029, but he died on July 15th, 2023. After nearly 50 years, Carla's story finally had an ending, and the strength of her family became a symbol of hope for every cold case still waiting to be solved. In 1992, 25-year-old Kristin Smart was preparing for another day of teaching. Her students were waiting, but Kristin never arrived at school. Instead, what followed was a discovery that would send shockwaves through Lancaster, Pennsylvania. She had been found in her home, attacked and killed in a horrifying act that left no clear suspect. For over 25 years, the case remained a mystery, despite countless leads, tips, and heartbreak. Then in 2018, science finally caught up with the past. Using cutting-edge DNA phenotyping, Parabon Nanolabs created a digital sketch of the suspect's likely appearance. The DNA pointed to someone no one expected, Raymond Rowe, a well-known local DJ who performed under the name DJ Freeze. He had been hiding in plain sight. Rowe had even performed at school events and local celebrations, while keeping a deadly secret for decades. When confronted with the evidence, Rowe confessed. He was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole. The case of Kristin Smart was more than just a long unsolved crime. It was a reminder that sometimes the answers are hiding in the spotlight. Between 1987 and 1990, a stretch of highway connecting Indiana and Kentucky became the backdrop for a chilling mystery. 3 women, each working at motels off I-65, were found dead under disturbing circumstances. 2 others narrowly survived similar attacks. He struck with speed and precision, moving across state lines, vanishing without a trace. For years, authorities only had a nickname, the Dazen Killer. Despite intense investigations, no name surfaced, just fear and silence. Then, in 2022, over 3 decades later, breakthrough science unlocked the case. Using genetic genealogy, investigators analyzed DNA left behind at the scenes and found a match. The I-65 killer was identified as Harry Edward Greenwell, a known career criminal. But there was a catch. Greenwell had died in 2013, nearly a decade before the discovery. 2 of the surviving victims were shown old sketches. They confirmed it. He was the man who had haunted them for decades. For the families of those lost, it was a complicated kind of closure. Relief in knowing the truth, but no trial, no sentencing, no chance to face the man responsible. The I-65 killer had evaded justice for years, but in the end, science and memory gave these stories the resolution they deserved. These cases show us that no matter how long it takes, the truth has a way of finding light. Whether it's through technology, perseverance, or a single clue, justice can come, even after decades. Which case hit you the hardest, and you want to see more about it? Let us know in the comments. Subscribe for more stories from the dark side of real life. And remember, the truth always finds its way.